Chantal He, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This is an odd book. It is an exhaustive history of something that never happened. Can you explain, first of all, sort of summarize what the argument of the book is, and secondly, how on earth did you think of doing it?
I knew that the politicians from outside Quebec that I was going to ask had never been asked, and I was really curious as to what they would say. And Lucien Bouchard at that point had never ever talked about this referendum experience, so I thought if we could get Lucien Bouchard to talk, it would be a good start. And if we can't get Lucien Bouchard, we didn't tell him that. If we can't get him to talk, if he tells us nothing interesting, there won't be a book. So that was the test. But the main reason was to have these voices and these thoughts recorded before some of these voices fade.
Do you start to worry that these folks were at some level irresponsible, to not have thought things through more carefully?
It was a shock to us that when Lucien Bouchard said we expected to win, the next sentence was, and was not, here was our plan, the next sentence was, therefore Mr. Pagizot stopped returning my calls. We never saw that coming, and we had never imagined that. It made us feel like little kids who believed in Santa Claus to listen to that. That was when I realized as a journalist that we'd never really kicked the tires of this negotiator-in-chief title. And if we had, we would have found out that there was no mandate, no discussion, no agreement, no nothing. That Lucien Bouchard himself had not done all these things. So did we feel as we listened to that, and then to Mario Dumont saying we spent the last week of the campaign thinking that with a yes vote we would have to slow down Monsieur Pagizot, who he calls le bonhomme, not very respectful. Yes, at that point we thought there was some irresponsibility on the part of people who ask a question and take no pains to make sure that they are on the same page as to what the answer means.
You talk about 95 as the end of an era in terms of the attitudes of English Canadian politicians, but it's the end of an era in a lot of ways, and one of them is political journalists in Ottawa until then, or until maybe the Clarity Act a few years later, had spent their careers dealing with existential issues of the survival of Canada and how to ensure that. All through the time that Trudeau was Prime Minister, all through the time that Mulroney was Prime Minister. We almost never handle those issues now. It's much more a couple points on the GST or something. Do you miss those days when it was kind of a cliffhanger every day at the office?
Do I miss the days when we discussed substantial issues rather than the days where the issue of the day in question period is who can say the nastiest, stupidest thing about the other? Yes, of course I do. I covered this issue alongside free trade, alongside the abortion debate. I watched votes on the capital punishment. Parliament meant more. And the people in it seemed larger rather than smaller for being in it. One of the reasons I undertook this project was actually to get through what we're covering now, to have a chance to look somewhere else when I can't watch how insignificant sometimes the political debate has become in this country. And of course, issues define parliaments, and they rise to the occasion. The parliament that Jean Chrétien led at the tail end of his career, where Stockwell Day was still the leader of the Canadian Alliance on, borrowed time, became a better place legislatively and on the debate front after 9/11 and in the lead up to the Iraq war, because the issues that were thrown at Parliament forced everyone to up their game.